Imagine investing in these superstars before they ever broke out. This is the place. This is where you come to know who to invest in on Mojo, the sports stock market. So make sure you tap in. The opening bell, hosted by Ray GQ and your boy Jay Rich. Let's make some money.
That's right. It's the opening bell here on the Mojo YouTube channel. It's your boy Ray G, joined as always by my man Jay Rich. You can find me on Twitter at Ray GQ. You can find Jordan at your boy Jay Rich on Twitter. And if it's your first time tapping into the show, welcome. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe to all the dope content dropping over here on Mojo. Jay, I see you with the jersey on again today. How you doing, baby?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. We had a so-so week in the NFL, but I am happy to report, Ray, if people don't know, college football has made its way to Mojo, and we could not be more excited about it. We watch college probably more than most people do who are in our industry. You've made your name, Ray, in college football, and now you're bringing that to the people of Mojo. Are you excited for these quarterbacks? It's only quarterbacks right now.
It's only quarterbacks
I'm
right
excited.
now. Yeah. It's really cool to see Mojo, adjust and adopt the collegiate game, starting with the quarterbacks. That's what we do. I mean, we built our brand, our following, Destination Devy, developmental prospects from the college ranks all the way up to the NFL, and sort of watching the maturation of these guys as freshmen, as sophomores. And then you're finally like, this is going to be the next whomever it's going to be. Like, this guy's going to be a superstar. Now you can actually make money off of investing in collegiate quarterbacks, right? If you see the next Daniel Jones, who's going to lead his team to 5-1 record and beat Lamar Jackson on Sunday, you could invest in the next Daniel Jones, the next Zach Wilson, who beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, right? Didn't have big stats, but you can go long on these collegiate quarterbacks, and that's what we do, baby. And Jay, I'm just going to be real. I don't know who does it better than us. I mean, when you're talking about following the college game and staying tapped in and making sure that not only do you invest in good collegiate players, but collegiate players that have the potential to become very good NFL talents. And I think that's one of the differences, right? We could talk about some of the nuances between the NFL market in Mojo versus the college market, but even inside the college game, and we'll dive into that a little bit later, there's some strategy in looking at college producers versus guys that actually are going to be drafted high by the NFL.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Ray, let's quickly get into some talking points about these college quarterbacks, right? There's three things that we want people to know when it comes to investing in these college players. One, there's zero banked value in their college stats, right? So whatever they do in college, it has no direct value in Mojo because we are talking about their NFL projection only. You can only go long on these college quarterbacks, right? So you can only go long. We're not shorting any college quarterbacks, and share prices won't move in real time because, like I mentioned, it's not due to their statistics, it's due to market sentiment. So again, a lot of this comes down to projected draft capital, and that's what we do. This is where we come in and we talk about who's going to be a first round pick, second round pick, and it's about beating the market and beating these people who are projecting this draft capital. And that's what I think, Ray, you do more than anybody. You are the person that can find these players as freshmen, as sophomores, and you can say, that guy's got the opportunity to be a first-round pick. And now, on Mojo, we can start making some money off that. And that's what I think is so awesome about this product.
Well, let's just dive into the top quarterbacks right now in the 2023 class over here on Mojo. And here go the top 5 quarterbacks. You've got number 1, Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, who threw for 455 yards in a head-to-head matchup against Tennessee in Knoxville. They did take the L, but Bryce Young at number 1. Number 2, C.J. Stroud, the quarterback from The Ohio State University, probably the front runner for the Heisman Trophy so far this year. Number 3, Will Levis, the big-armed quarterback from Kentucky. At 4, Hendon Hooker, the man who threw for 385, 5 touchdowns, and beat one of the top teams in college football, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then at 5, a little shocking for me, Jay, DJ Uiagalelei, the big, talented quarterback from Clemson, was supposed to be the quarterback one in the 2023 class going into last football season. Things didn't play out well for him last year. He's trying to rehabilitate his perception amongst the NFL evaluators. But there go your top 5 quarterbacks: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker sitting right there. Look at this. 1 week went from $12.86 to $14.55, up almost 13% for the Tennessee signal caller, Hendon Hooker, Internet 5, DJ Uyunglele. What do you think about these, where these quarterbacks are right now, Jay? And just let's dive into it, man. I'm excited.
I mean, okay, quick context for the people who don't have Mojo or haven't seen Mojo yet. Bryce Young is 3287, CJ Stroud 3138, Will Levis 1857, Hendon Hooker, like you saw, 1451, and DJ Uyunglele 1184. So a big spread. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, 2 Heisman front runners early in the season, way up there. Project them to get high draft capital versus a guy like Will Levis, who was projected to get high draft capital.
He is
well
projected
right
to get high draft capital. Not was.
For now.
He
for
is
now.
projected.
We'll
He's
see.
going. There's no doubt about it, man. Listen, it's not always about production in college. It is some tools and traits. Will Levis is going to be a high draft pick. Like, I'm not saying that he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I'm not even saying he's supposed to be a top 3 quarterback in this class, but he's going to get the draft capital. There was no was. He is projected, and there are some NFL prognosticators who are projecting Will Levis to be the QB1 off of the board. For everything that Bryce Young is, what he isn't is 6'4", 230 pounds. And that's going to be the biggest knock on Bryce Young when it comes time for the NFL draft. He is a surgeon. There were some throws that he made versus Tennessee. I watched every snap, every throw, where you just say, wow, he was a magician at work. It was surgical. It was methodical. 455 yards after not playing last week due to a shoulder injury. He came into Tennessee and he carried that Alabama team, put up 49 points, just couldn't get it done defensively to stop Hendon Hooker. But Will Levis is going to get the draft capital. So one more time, slow it down real quick. What'd you say the prices of the top 2 quarterbacks are right now?
So Bryce Young is 3287 and CJ Stroud is 3138. They are higher than all the 22 quarterbacks right now. So that is one thing to pay attention to, is that these guys are ranked even higher already than every quarterback in the 22 class. This isn't surprising. Again, these are the 2 Heisman front runners from last season and heading into this season. And then there's a player like Hendon Hooker, who just comes off a game where he beat Alabama. First time in 16 years they beat Alabama. So yeah, he's going to be high up those ranks. But on top of that, he's been playing well all season. He plays in the SEC, so a lot of eyes on him. But Ray, we've been on him for a little while, and we've been hearing the rumblings of these college quarterbacks coming to Mojo, and we were waiting to see Hendon Hooker's price. I have to ask you, how do you feel about it right now? You know, Kenny Pickett is a guy who's around $20 right now. Again, another first-round pick. So where are you at with Hendon Hooker, knowing he's about $14.50? I think he'll go to the Senior Bowl, and he'll show it at the Senior Bowl, look like the best quarterback there. But then after that, how does he stack up to the Will Levises, the CJ Strouds, and the Bryce Youngs? I think Will Levis is the more fair comp right now because of where he's priced. But again, Hendon Hooker, I think, is outplaying Will Levis and is $4 cheaper on Mojo.
There's no doubt. He's 100% outplaying Will Levis right now. The big knock on Hendon Hooker is going to be the age. Right now, he's 24 years old. Come draft time, he's going to be a 25-year-old rookie. Now, we've seen older quarterbacks get drafted early before, right? We saw Brandon Weeden about 12 years ago, however long it was, get drafted in the first round. He was older than Hendon Hooker. He wasn't a first-round pick. I believe Chris Winkie was selected in the 3rd round, if my memory serves me correct. Don't quote me on that one, but I know he was drafted by the Carolina Panthers, and he was like 28 years old, Chris Winkie, when he was drafted. Here's the thing with Hendon Hooker. Not only did he pass the first test, he passed it with flying colors. He passed it with an A+. He aced the SAT. Hendon Hooker, 3 of his next 4 games were against one Alabama, head-to-head against Will Levis. He's got a game against Georgia, and then he's got a cupcake matchup in there. So 3 of his next 4 games were the opportunity for the NFL to look at him and say, I don't care about the age. This is a kid that we can bring in, and maybe he could be pro-ready sooner rather than later. I saw Jordan Reed from ESPN post a tweet that like 14 NFL teams, scouts, were at the Tennessee-Alabama game because there was talent on both sides of the ball, defensively, offensively, running backs, both quarterbacks. But going into that Saturday matchup, Jay, all we wanted was Hooker to do a little bit. Like, if he could just show us a little something, we didn't even think that they would win. We were like, he doesn't even have to win the game. As long as Hendon Hooker can show us something, that will be a big step forward for his NFL draft outlook. Not only did he win the game, not only did he show us something, he was excellent. Excellent. And right now, being priced between Brian Hoyer and Gardner Minshew, he's going to be a first-round pick, Jay. He's going to be a first-round pick. I think so, too. I think I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 pick. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 pick. But when you look across the quarterback landscape in the NFL right now, you got some guys that look like they don't want to be there, some players that don't look like they belong, some players that are under. Like right now, the QB landscape in the NFL is all over the place, man. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, really Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson. You've got Jared Goff starting. You've got... you go to Jacoby Brissett, and we know he's a placeholder for Deshaun Watson. But you look down the list, Matthew Stafford's not playing good ball. It's not that these rookies, Marcus Mariota, it's not that they're going to come in and assume a starter's role, but the end is near for the Tom Brady's, for the Aaron Rodgers. Like, the end is near, and they're going to have to find their replacements. And you might not be able to wait until round 2, round 3 this year in this class with these quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker being almost... a 100% discount from Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. You know what I mean? Like, they're more than double his price right now in the Mojo market. He's a screaming buy for me right now. And he fits into the bucket. And I talked about this at the beginning of the show, Jay. There are some quarterbacks in the Mojo market, in the collegiate market, that are good college quarterbacks that have no shot of an NFL future. None. And you got to be mindful of that, right? You can't short college players, but you can still, trade your college assets. You get 4 years for a college quarterback, 4 or 5 years. And some of those guys, Jay, I want to hold them for years. Yeah. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, long-term investment for me in Mojo. The Sean Cliffords of the world, the Jake Hayners of the world, the Max Duggins who won a double overtime game, right? Those guys are not long-term holds for me. I'm riding them for maybe they have a special year where they get some buzz to be Big 12 Player of the Year, Big 10 Offensive Player of the Year, and I'm out. I don't want any part of them when it comes to the NFL because they're on that Brock Purdy path of 7th-round draft capital. I just don't want it, Jay. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I think you made a great point. There are players, like you mentioned, and I think Hendon Hooker is somewhat an example of this kind of player. A guy we identify early in the market, say he could have a great season, but that doesn't mean we want to hold them for the duration of the draft process into the season. And you look no further than this past year. We were on it early. You said it. Malik Willis could be a top quarterback, probably going to Detroit at 2, and the buzz was humming all February, all March, at the Combine, into April.
Up to the draft.
People said he could go number 2. He could go number 3. We talked about he's going top 5. Everyone says he's going top 5, top 5.
There's no way he's falling past Carolina. There's no way he's falling past. Yeah. Third round. No way he's falling past Carolina.
This is a quarterback who couldn't beat out Bo Nix, who has now transferred from Auburn to Oregon. Looks fine as a college quarterback, but again, not an NFL quarterback. Played at Liberty, looked great, has the tools, right, we talk about, but again, is not a guy you necessarily want to buy into, diamond hand him through the draft, because we will continue to see these things. I don't think this past draft season was a break of a trend. I think it's a new trend that we're not going to see quarterbacks go as high because these teams need to buy into these players, and they have to be a Stroud, they have to be a Levis, they have to be a Young. Like, I believe these guys are people that are quarterbacks that these guys want. Kenny Pickett out of Pitt, balling in the ACC, Malik Willis out of Liberty. Like, we want SEC quarterbacks. We want Big Ten, Ohio State quarterbacks. And I think the NFL wants those guys too. And I think while there is a lot of talent in this draft, last draft tells you that maybe we don't want to diamond hand all these quarterbacks just because they have one good season in the SEC.
Well, let's talk about DJ Uiagalelei. So we pulled him up at the beginning of the show. DJU right now is based on their Mojo value, correct? Is the 5th rated quarterback, correct?
In 2023, yeah. There's still Caleb Williams and Quinn Ewers are ahead of them, 23. And Drake May as well.
We'll get to the 24 club. We got a lot of Mojo show. We ain't going anywhere. We're going to be here for a long time. We'll get to the 24 class. We're looking at the 23 eligible prospects, players that have the chance to be drafted and turn that collegiate value into NFL value.
Yes.
DJU, Where are you at? Because I don't think there's a shot in hell DJU's drafted in round 1. I don't think there's a chance.
That's the problem, is that you look, I think he's kind of living off of the name value, right?
Right.
Like, imagine if Spencer Rattler was $11 right now. We would be like, okay, no, we can't go there. But to your point about DJU, and you've made this point a couple times this season, Clemson could run the table. If they run the table, they're in the playoff. And if he makes the playoff, he's going up in value.
Yes.
So I think the problem is that he may be a short-term buy, maybe even through the playoff, and that's it, because he may not look so good in the draft process versus some of these other quarterbacks. And I think to your point, he's probably not going to be even a second round pick. Maybe. We haven't seen a ton of second round pick quarterbacks lately. It's kind of, you're either in the first round or you're in the third round, right? Yeah. People tend to go wide receiver and running back in the second round now and not go so much those positions. Well, they go, wide receivers go in the first, but we've seen a lot of quarterbacks go in the beginning of the third, back of the third, and not just last draft, but drafts prior to that. So I think that's the scare here, is that even if he's $11, if he's a third round pick, he's not going to be a guy who's even $8, $5, he may be $5, $6, because again, that name value, maybe the team he plays for, but he's not going to be a guy who's a $10 out of the gate player because he's a second round pick. I think even at this value, they're kind of saying maybe he could be a first round pick. And I think there is some room for downside with DJU. But again, like you've said, if they run the table and they make the playoff, his value is going to go up on Mojo. It just is, because the sentiment is going to be, he's back, he's good, he was the top quarterback, and he can get that value back all the way.
There's another quarterback that right now is valued very low in the collegiate Mojo market. His price is very, very low, and he's going to get drafted. He's going to get drafted. He's going to get drafted. He comes from an NFL pro style offense. He's got the size. Tanner McKee. Where's Tanner McKee's Mojo value at right now?
Oh, let me look it up real quick. But I think the point about Tanner McKee out of Stanford,
I'm looking it up.
Okay, so I'll talk about Tanner McKee really quickly.
$1.88 for Tanner McKee. But Ray,
this is the guy that, if you're talking about the upside of a player on Mojo, I think Tanner McKee is it. Like, I don't know who I would rather buy. So again, for people who don't know,
because he's Stanford. He's not one of the top rated quarterbacks for us. He's not.
No, he's not. And he's never going to be. But he's a guy that the NFL will love, right? That's the biggest thing. You comp him directly to Davis Mills, who also came out of Stanford.
Yep.
And Ray, we've been looking at something in particular as far as the metrics go for quarterbacks. We've talked about the snap to throw. Snap to throw is very important in the NFL. And Tanner McKee, just like Davis Mills, has a 2.2 second snap to throw, which I believe is 95th percentile in all of college football. And that is what they're going to look at and say, this guy has the IQ, the smarts, he's been in the pro style offense for a long time, and he gets the ball out quick. And that was one of the main reasons why Davis Mills was one of the best rookie quarterbacks last year. You look at Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, even Trevor Lawrence to some degree, they didn't get the ball out quick enough, and they got sacked. And that's what Tanner McKee isn't going to do. And at $1.84, he's a guy that if he's drafted in the third round, maybe fourth round, at some point he's going to get a shot because he's just a good quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to blow the doors off a team and blow people out, but he's a good quarterback. And with Davis Mills sitting around $18, $20 in value, I believe that Tanner McKee has a similar upside to Davis Mills if everything clicks, and that's why I think he's a screaming buy on Mojo.
So for right now, $1.88 for Tanner McKee. He declares, he goes through the draft process. Are you holding him through the NFL draft?
I think I would, depending on where his value gets to. Because if it like doubles or something, and then maybe I'd consider getting out. But, you know, I mean, what's the downside? Is he really going to go to a 50-cent quarterback if he gets drafted in the fourth round? Probably not. No. Right? So I think that's, at that point, you're in undrafted quarterback territory. And so it's kind of like, well, how much lower can he go? They're kind of projecting him to be a 6th round pick, a 7th round pick. And I think, to your point, he has a lot more upside than that. He's a guy that can be a 3rd or 4th round pick. And when we've seen those guys get a shot, even Bailey Zappi, the highest rising quarterback on Mojo season to date, is Bailey Zappi, a quarterback who broke NCAA records, smart Bailey quarterback, Zappi can deliver the ball, was 3rd stringer going into the season, and now he's leading the Patriots to wins and 38 points against the Browns. So again, I think Tanner McKee can be a player like that and has the ability to do that, and that's the reason why I think he's a buy on Mojo.
Look at Bailey Zappi. I mean, I'm looking at his chart, 56.2% on the year. At one point, he was $3.96. He was the third string quarterback coming into the season. Right now, $6.93. I mean, if you listen, and Zappy was a 4th-round pick. These quarterbacks are, I think there was a stat, Jay. There are 32 NFL teams. On average, there's like 58 quarterbacks that play every year. It's something ridiculous like that.
Yep.
There is a very, very good chance that Tanner McKee gets that 3rd-round draft capital. He's the backup. No one forgets about him. And then all of a sudden, starter goes down, and all of a sudden, Tanner McKee enters the offense.
Skylar Thompson, another one, man.
Skylar
a lot
Thompson.
of third stringers are playing this year, so I think there's a really good shot. To your point, a lot of quarterbacks play, but he's a guy that can perform in a system and be successful. We've seen Skylar Thompson in college. He's fine, right? He's not gonna decipher your defense, but Tanner McKee is a guy who could do that a little bit at the NFL level. And so I think, when you just talk about guys that have a lot of upside, like you said, Bailey Zappi was $3 going into the draft process and getting drafted.
Yep.
That's a big difference from a $1.80 player.
Yes. Yeah.
Big difference. So you think they're barely projecting him to get drafted at all, and he's going to get drafted because of the player he is and how smart he is at the quarterback position.
Bryce and CJ are real high. Are you buying either of those two right now and then holding them?
It's tough, man. It's tough. They are very high, right? They're projected higher than a lot of quarterbacks, and good quarterbacks at that. They're higher than Justin Fields. I believe they're right around where Zach Wilson is right now, depending on Zach Wilson's price. He's been up and down. And the biggest thing here, right, is like we don't know what team they're going to play for. Yeah, as much as I kind of want them to go to the Panthers, like if they trade Christian McCaffrey and all they got is DJ Moore and that bad offensive line, it's like, oh man, it's not looking great for them long term. I think Detroit is the one spot we hope a quarterback goes to. The Giants aren't going to be getting a quarterback now. They're way too good for that level of, unless they trade up or something crazy happens. But there's not that many situations I'm loving right now based off of how the teams are performing. So I think it's tough. Would you be buying these guys? Like,
I think so.
Are you in on them?
And more importantly for me, it's Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, because I do believe those two will get the draft capital. You can add a 3x multiplier on both of those guys, and I would do that. Will Levis and Hendon Hooker are going to get the requisite draft capital to see their value, I think, boom a little bit more than Stroud. It seems like Stroud and Young are already priced at where they're probably going to be as NFL rookies. Like I don't see them at $32 now, then they get drafted and they spike up to 60 or 40, right? I think they're right. I think they are already baking in the draft capital for those guys. Whereas with Hendon Hooker and Will Levis, I don't believe it is baked in. And I think this is where you can gain some edge. I'd put a 3x multiplier on both. I'm confident that both will be first-round picks. And those are two quarterbacks. I'm not talking about them being Hall of Famers, but just getting the draft capital to see their value rise. 100% for me, it's Will Levis and Hendon Hooker.
So, little contrarian point for you, just very quickly. I was looking up the prices of Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. They opened up around $45 after getting the draft capital, right? So maybe there is a little bit of upside there. And I think to your point, we expect them to be top 5 draft picks.
Easy.
I'd be shocked if they're not. And again, that's where Mojo is banking that in. So if you do want to go long on them with the 3x multiplier, it's not bad because they're probably going to gain you about $10 a share in value. And so that's pretty reasonable. Trevor Lawrence was a guy who opened up around $50. So again, number one overall pick. So
what happens if that's Will Levis? What if Will Levis is the second quarterback off the board? You can get him right now for $18.
That's the thing. And so that's where your point is even more valid. People talked about Levis being the first quarterback off the board.
They talk
about
about
the success of Josh Allen, man. People don't
he
really
ain't Josh,
want
though. He ain't Josh.
People don't really want another, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins,
Baker Mayfield.
Right. Yeah. They don't want those guys. They want Josh Allen. And that's who everybody wants. And so I think that's where Will Levis being the first QB off the board, that's still in play.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a narrative out there. It's a narrative out there.
And then you get 2.5 times, right? With the 3x multiplier, your money's going to the moon at that point. It would be insane.
100%. I'm excited. This is what we do, baby. This is what we do. Real quick, biggest NFL movers, Hollywood Brown, down 12%. Right now for Marquise Brown.
Would you short him?
I mean, he was at $16 24 hours ago, and he's already fallen 12%. Don't try to catch a falling knife in the market. I'd let it stabilize. If anything, a buy, but I'm not shorting him now. I'm not sure him after he's already dropped 12%.
So the thing to know for people is that there's a possibility he's out for the year with the Liz Frank injury. That's kind of what we're hearing in our circles. So just keep that in mind, is that if he misses the whole year, he may go down a little bit more. So if you are thinking about it, again, it could go up if the injury isn't as bad. But we are expecting season-long, potentially, injury with another Liz Frank midfoot sprain that he suffered on Sunday. So that is what we're projecting. We'll see what happens. But like you said, down 12%, it makes sense because he legitimately could be out for the year.
I think the short is Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi. Yeah.
No!
I mean, he's played well, but when Mac Jones is healthy, which he was walking around, had a little bit of a limp, he's back to being the starting quarterback. I don't think there's no doubt about it. I think Bailey Zappi, right now he's up 9%. This is where I want to short. I want to short when price has gone too far away from the mean. We're at 2-3 ATR. I want to short now. This is where, like, Bailey's here. The moment Mac Jones is limited in practice, he's practicing in full, Bailey Zappi takes a dive down. So I think Bailey Zappi, even though he's one of the biggest risers in the market, would probably be my short. You've got Tyquan Thornton up 12%. Cooper Rush should have shorted him going into last night. Down 10%. I mean, he was at $4.24 24 hours ago. He's now at $3.77. You knew when Dak Prescott was throwing in pregame, they weren't going to throw him out there versus Philadelphia. They're waiting for him to get healthy, and I think Dak Prescott starts next Sunday for the Dallas Cowboys. I see Greg Dortch is up 10% today. Short Greg Dortch, up 10%. DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. I know Hollywood's hurt, but this is the wrong correlative play. It's not Hollywood hurt Greg Dortch. It's Hollywood's hurt, but DeAndre Hopkins is back. Slide Nuke back in. Rondell Moore is still there, and Zach Ertz is still there. I'm not buying in to Greg Dortch at all. PJ Walker, good grief, down 21%. Carolina.
He's not good.
Carolina's not good. Yeah, Carolina's not good. Anybody else you want to talk about before we get out of here, or is that about it?
That's about it, man. I'm excited to see what Justin Herbert does tonight. He's the guy with the highest future mojo value on the market, period. Right? Not price, because that's Brady, because he's played 100 years. But Justin Herbert, highest future mojo value. And Ray, I still believe, and I do believe this, that guy should be Josh Allen. And he showed why he's the MVP this week. But we'll see what Justin Herbert does tonight. He's been a little bit banged up, has the Denver Broncos, big divisional game. I'm excited to see what Justin Herbert does tonight. He's at $98, and I think maybe after today he gets to $100.
Man, 1 month ago, $85.84. He's up 14.37%. It's just steadily climbing for Justin Herbert. Let me see where my boy Russ Wilson is before we get out of here. Where's
$89 right now, $89.50. Last week, he's actually up a little bit, which is shocking, but we'll see how he plays tonight. He may have some trouble with that Chargers defense.
He was $100.80 a month ago. He's down 11.21%. Whew,
Not good.
We'll see how this plays out.
Still $20 of projected value on Mojo for Russ.
Got a 5-year deal. He's the starting quarterback. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon. We are locked in. We've got college that we could talk about now. College, NFL. Jay, the NBA starts next week. I hope Mojo gets some NBA, man. I don't want to put any pressure on anybody, but I'm excited, man. We got basketball back. We've got NFL. We've got college. Everything is going down. We appreciate y'all tapping in. Hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe for all the content over here at Mojo. Stay tapped in, Jay. Anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Go and buy Tanner McKee, baby. That's the
Tanner
guy.
McKee. There it is.
I'm staking my claim. Tanner McKee is the guy I want to go buy tonight.
Go get Hendon Hooker and Will Levis. Put that multiplier on it and cash out come 2023 NFL draft time. We appreciate you tapping in for another episode of Opening Bell. We'll be back next Monday. Wow. Peace.